What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gatekeeper Media's In the Mix with Park Podcast. We are in beautiful Stockton, California for the OTB Open this week. Going to be breaking it all down, talking through some storylines, talking through everything that went down at the OTB Open. My name is Mitch Phillips. Joining me is Zachary Harrison. How are you doing, man? I called you by your first name. We are just getting serious right out the gate.
Yeah, dude, doing really well. Had a great time playing disc golf this weekend.
Yeah. Where were you this weekend? Zach plays a lot more disc golf than me. If you can't tell, if you're a listener to this podcast, this man gets out there like crazy. You were over at the Champions Cup location, I believe.
I was at the IDGC. I played all three courses. Played Jim Warner, Steady Ed, and WR Jackson.
Heck yeah. What was your favorite one out of them?
WR.
Really? Yeah.
It's just so well maintained. Those fairways seem like they're artistically crafted.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the first major of the year. So that, I mean, the other one's not first major of the year, but they're still great courses if you're in the Georgia area or California. Carolinas. If you're near there, definitely worth going.
South Carolina's just across the lake.
Yeah, it's super close.
Yeah.
But we are on the other side of the country this week, and we are in Stockton, California at Swenson Park. And speaking of amazing places, we'll get back to Swenson in a minute. This is 3.5 miles from Oak Grove Park, which, if you're not familiar with that, a little bit of disc golf history for you. Oak Grove Park is the first disc golf course in the world. 1975 was when that was created. Years and years and years before I was born, and I believe anyone listening to this podcast was probably born. But if you are, maybe you've played Oak Grove, or maybe you played that course back in the 70s, definitely let us know in the comments. Shoot us a message over on Instagram. We'd love to connect with you over there. But just super cool to be back in a place that has so much history for our sport.
Absolutely.
They used to have, I believe it was Wintertime Open. I may be totally wrong on that. There used to be a tournament that was on the tour, and it was a huge stop, but definitely awesome to be able to be back in Stockton. So talk about the weather. We definitely had some warmer temperatures.
Yeah, I mean, as we would expect a little bit in sunny California. But you're right. Mid to high 80s from what I could see most of the weekend. And our good friend, the wind. Lots and lots of wind.
Yeah. It wasn't as bad as it was. I mean, obviously you leave the Midwest and nothing's comparable, but we were still, I mean, we saw some 20-mile-per-hour gusts, and it was more than you expected.
Yeah. If you watch coverage, you see a lot of shirts blowing in the breeze, a lot of flags getting pushed around. So
yeah, and I mean, the players are getting used to it so far. I mean, this is the 7th stop on the Pro Tour Elite Series, but there was some other ones. We had Masters Cup just recently, but obviously very, very different course coming here to Swenson. And we're in California still, so 2-meter rule is in effect. California, just keep being you, keep being weird, I guess. I mean, that's an Austin thing, keep Austin weird.
Keep Austin weird. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They can make their own rules, right? Yeah. They can make their own rules. And their trees are apparently just different. Yeah. They like to grab discs, so if the tree grabs your disc, you get penalized.
Yeah, we're over here on the East Coast, and trees just like to hit, they just smack discs. More of just like a whack, where trees in Cali, they want to have a nice little time and just enjoy the moment and keep it 2 meters above, and you get a stroke. So anyway, we're going to move on from that. My goodness. Moving on to a segment we like to call Run It Back with Idio Sports. Head over to idiosports.com. Zach and I always running. Check us out on YouTube to see our running form. Let us know. But idiosports.com, the pre-orders are running out. The ship has sailed. We are getting the shoes so soon.
Literally can't wait.
Yes,
I say it every week. I'm so ready for these shoes on my feet.
I mean, gosh, since October or so.
Yeah.
Right around there when all the Kickstarter opened. So Craig, and I would say Craig and his team, but really Craig just has been doing it all. And just so excited for that. So this week we're going to run it back to our 2-time European champion, Simon Lizotte, which was his first win was on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, was 2018 Memorial Championship. Wow. And this is a really cool stat from Ultiworld that it has been 1,541 days since Simon Lizotte's first win on Disc Golf Pro Tour, the longest stretch for any player between their first and second win.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I mean, you think you get your first win, you kind of get going a little bit. But Simon, I mean, 2018 was kind of not where he was really peaking much. I mean, you look back to 2017, he was 4th on tour. Then he kind of came back up into 2019, 3rd on tour. But, I mean, and obviously winning the OTB Open this week.
Yeah. Yeah. And after some pretty big life events.
Right.
You know, if you guys follow, he
released his second beer.
Did he actually?
Yeah, he just released his second beer, a hazy IPA out of Mass Landing.
Oh,
that's what
wow.
you're talking about, right?
I was talking about the release of a child.
Having a child. Yes, that might be bigger. Sorry, I got excited about the hazy IPA.
Yeah,
Zach and I are big beer guys, so we go.
Yeah, he's a new father,
Right.
Which comes with a lot of stress and a lot
no
of I don't know, mental clouds, if you will. So I'd imagine it's pretty tough to get out there and
not a lot of sleep
and
as a
compete
new
the way
father.
that you would imagine.
Yeah.
Also coming off an injury, a big arm injury.
Yeah.
And Simon's been talking a lot about having to alter his game altogether. How he can't just go out there and throw 100%,
Right.
or 110% like he usually does.
Yeah.
And kind of how he wants to be like, show off, I've got a big arm, I'm just going to mash it to pieces. Well, you can't throw 3 rounds mashing it all to pieces.
I mean, he's getting older. I mean, he's over 30 now, I believe, or close to it.
Wow. Yeah.
And I mean, it's just it happens as we get older. We slow down our game. But we'll talk about Simon's entire weekend, which was incredible. But we definitely wanted to run it back to an incredible stat. Thanks to Ultiworld for that one. But yeah, definitely check out idiosports.com. So excited for those shoes to get onto your feet, man. So looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Let's move into the MPO recap. Some storylines we had. We'll get into the leaderboard here in a little bit, but some storylines we had. I mean, we've talked about it already this year. Let's talk about it now in the way in which, with the tour card, with there being a lot more consistent players, there's never been more people than right now, 2022, that are touring as a disc golfer. But we get into the West Coast, some of these bigger courses that can hold more people. We start to get maybe some unsponsored players. And one of those was Cody Kirkland, leading the pack after round 1 at -7. 7 birdies. I mean, just absolutely incredible. I mean, definitely had some highlights in. Talk a little about his round.
Yeah, so finishing 7 down, had 7 birdies, 2 bogeys, and then a 318-foot throw-in for eagle on hole 17.
Yeah.
Which is an absolute mash, but it's also insane because hole 17 is basically an island green. It's a peninsula green,
Right.
but from 300 feet away. I mean, par 4, so he took it down in 2. The hole itself is a 737-foot hole.
Right.
So he had just thrown it 430 something feet,
Right.
and puts it straight into the basket to finish out his round.
I mean, that's how you get on lead card. I mean, talk about what this is going to do for him as a player.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're unsponsored. You're getting a highlight that was all over social media, and you're on lead card in round 2. And he played well. I mean, in round 2, was able to kind of hold on to his own stuff. But of course, that round 3 kind of got ahead of him a little bit. But still, to be able to see players we haven't seen as much, like these new names. There's some new names here on the podium, but names truly we've never heard of unless you're a local to that area.
Absolutely.
So, awesome to see that. Moving on down, let's get into our winner here, Mr. Simon Lizotte. We talked about it in the Run It Back with Idio, but man, let's start at the top. His round 1, a highlight reel, used to be known for it. Him and Eagle used to battle back and forth, just whatever you can do, I can do better. No, I mean, the Simon line, anything. I mean, if you know disc golf, you've watched Simon. And I mean, he started out hot in round 1 with a throw-in for Eagle on hole 4.
Unbelievable. It was absolutely unbelievable. He didn't like it out of his hand.
No, never.
He's over there like waving it down. He's like, get down, get down, get down, get down. And then all of a sudden just crashes the chains. And he kind of walks away like MJ, the shrug, the MJ shrug. He's like, well,
It's what it is. I mean, the man throws in all the time. I mean, known for acing all over YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's talk about, his putting. I think that's really what kept him in the fight here. I mean, his driving was amazing. Let's not move past that. He definitely was more controlled. And he even talked about it in an interview. Let me pull this up real quick so we can read the quote here. Here we go. He said he was so happy with his drives today and felt easy. His decisions on the course weren't always the best because he was always like the show-off kid. Still kind of feel like I am and I still want to be, but my body just says no. I got to tone it down a bit, 80% effort on a lot of throws, and with the discs I have that go just as far with less effort. So, I mean, he's really changed his game, like you were saying earlier. As he's gotten a little older, his game has changed, but, I mean, his first win in over 4 years.
Yeah.
And making it happen in such an amazing spot. But seriously, his putting was phenomenal.
Yeah, for the entire tournament, he was 83% circle 1X.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of those, I mean, in C2, he had, let's check back here. I believe it was hole 1, he got every single round from a knee.
From a knee?
Yes, he birdied. I
still want this stat. Right. I want the from a knee stat.
Yes, can we please get Statmando or UDisc, somebody give us a from a knee, add a little column on the edge. He birdied hole 1 all 3 times from a knee.
Wow.
And he was -4 through 5 holes all 3 rounds. So, he starts off hot. The front 9 truly was where he succeeded. Was he bogey-free through the front 9 the entire tournament? I think he was.
Sure was.
Nope, had one bogey on 7 on the final day.
Because he went OB.
Right.
But, getting from circle 2, getting hole 1 in both rounds, getting that eagle that we mentioned, then being able to close in round 2, going 7 down in the front 9.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. He was torching it up over there, and almost was on the same track in round 3 if he hadn't gotten that 1 OB stroke on hole 7.
So, all in all, it's just awesome to be able to see Simon back on top. It feels like we're back in time a little bit. It kind of has that feeling like we've gone back into the teens a little bit. And all this to say, everyone's like, oh, Simon's, not been playing as well. He's definitely not the Simon he used to be. A lot of life change and stuff. He's still number 6 in the world.
Yeah.
He's still a top 10 player in the world, playing more minimal tour than he has in the past. But still, 100% fairway hits in round 3. You can't take him out. 100% C1X round 3. He was truly on fire. But a lot of that reasoning for him being on fire is on the final day, the lead card kind of struggled a little bit. Earlier on, he got some momentum behind him and got it going. Let's talk about Calvin Heimberg. Just outside looking in, I feel like, again, he's had, 4 or 5 podium finishes so far this year. Got the win at Jonesboro.
He did.
But again, coming up just a little bit short.
Just a hair short. And I don't know, in the past, people have been saying his putting has kind of been throwing him off. But this week was not the case. He was lights out outside of circle 2.
Yeah, 11 of 27 putting from circle 2.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, from strokes gained. Let me just stumble all over that one. 6.61.
In circle 2.
In circle 2, strokes gained putting. That's unreal.
That's the difference in second and 12th place.
Yeah.
Is solely circle 2 putting.
Unbelievable performance on the greens. Maybe a little bit different inside circle 1, just as far as strokes gained. But still, Calvin was able to be number 1 in fairway hits. He was number 2 in circle 2 in regulation. I think he was down there in circle 1 putting, but being able to get those statistics in circle 2 just tells you exactly what we need to know.
Right. I think we can fairly say that Nate Sexton was saying it on coverage and commentary that, for a long time, and it still is true, we can't count him out as a major champion already this year, Chris Dickerson, but Calvin Heimberg is the most consistent player in our game. Yeah. Period. Yeah. There is no doubt. If you're doing a pick 6 with grip 6, pick him 5 times. But it doesn't work that way. But you definitely should, because he is always in the hunt. Doesn't matter what kind of course. Doesn't matter what location. Doesn't matter the conditions. He is in the fight. I will never forget Calvin Heimberg at USDGC. It was 2 years ago, or maybe it was last year in 2021. Shot the hot round of the tournament. I think it was -10, -11. It was one of the hottest rounds of the tournament in the pouring rain.
Oh my gosh.
He jumped 15 spots, 20 spots on the worst conditions ever. He was the only player in double digits in pouring rain. So he is the most consistent player in any conditions, and finding his fifth podium finish so far this season.
Yeah, I definitely take a lot of putting advice from Calvin. Everyone's heard about throw the pizza in the oven.
Yeah.
But honestly, one of the coolest things is people are talking about, Calvin, how do you putt in the wind? His response, what wind?
He doesn't believe in it.
Genius, right? Don't believe in the wind. It doesn't matter. You just throw the disc hard at the middle of the chains and ching.
I need to stop believing in trees. That would help. God. But let's move a little bit more down leaderboard. A name that we have heard not too often. I got to talk to him at Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships last year because he got in last minute after Eagles injury. Mr. Aaron Gossage out of Colorado finds himself on the podium for the second time this year.
Sure does.
Sponsored by Discraft. I mean, from Grand Junction, his first, really full tour. He toured partially last year, but really committing to it this year. And again, second time on the podium. A player that has power, forehand, backhand, really has it all. And it's just amazing to be able to see, again, one of these names, we've talked about it, in past years, is like, who are these guys coming up? It was your Calvins, it was your Eagles, and now it's your Gannon Burrs, it's your Aaron Gossages, it's your Mason Fords, it's these guys that these names that are slowly just creeping up the ranks, and Aaron Gossage definitely one of those. Give us some stats on him.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of the stats that really stand out, he was second place in scramble percentage.
Yeah.
63% scramble, which is huge on a course like this because you had a lot of OB.
Right.
A lot of guys were going OB pretty often. Also second in circle one in regulation, 43% circle one in regulation.
Yeah.
If you don't know the statistic, that means that you have a chance for birdie from circle one.
Yeah.
So 43% of the time he had a chance for birdie in circle one, which is amazing.
And in a course like this, like you mentioned, it's not just, hey, you're off the tee great. Upshots were good. The scramble, even, hey, I went out of bounds, but 63% of the time I was able to put myself back in a position to attack.
To get par.
And just recovered so well.
Absolutely. His rounds went really well. He was definitely attacking the front nine.
Mm-hmm. Front nine seemed to be playing a little bit easier.
I agree. It definitely did not hurt scorecards as badly as the back nine did. But in the first round, he was clean until hole 13, which he took a bogey on. Hole 15 took a bogey on. But that put him in, was it second place, third place?
Yeah.
Tied.
Right around there. He was up there.
Tied for 4. But then in the second round, only 2 bogeys.
Yep.
Managed to keep it pretty clean.
And improves again to shoot a 58 in the final round.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 1 bogey in the final round. Had a streak of 4 birdies in a row, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, it's just, he's so well-rounded. Like you said, he throws forehands, he throws backhands, he can throw high lines, he can throw low burners, he putts well, he's consistent all over the course. Yeah. I mean, what else would you want from a golfer?
It's true.
There's literally nothing.
There's got to be something in the water in Colorado. I mean, there's a lot of good. I mean, you think Eagle coming out has that forehand, backhand dominance. And Aaron, one of those guys that really can match distance, forehand and backhand.
Yeah, that's the most impressive
thing. So needed. Someone else that can do that and can do it further than almost anyone on tour, Anthony Barella.
AB.
Rounding out the top 4 positions. I mean, eagling hole 5 twice.
Unreal.
From circle 1.
Yeah, getting into circle 1.
Within 20 feet.
Hole 5, by the way, everybody, it's a 1,006-foot par 5. 1,006, and he is there. He is already there.
Throwing 2 500-foot shots.
Throws. And it's not like a big open field, but he's throwing these rollers. And this is what I saw AB. I don't know if he's been working on it this season, this offseason. His rollers were like something I've never seen before. He's throwing them full power, and they're just hitting the ground and going. They are prepared to just torch anything in their path, but they're on a laser beam right at the basket. I don't understand how he controls the angle, how he controls the speed, how he keeps it high enough but also low enough. I'm just amazed by the fact that he's getting this much accuracy
and consistency
on a roller.
Yeah, leaning into it so many times. Like I said, getting that twice. One of the only players, if not the only player, to do that in rounds 2 and 3. I think the biggest thing, I mean, talking to him at the beginning of the year in Vegas, was chatting with him about his putting. That was always something he kind of struggled with. He switched up his putt to be more of still have some heat behind it, but is, a little bit more of a push behind it. And it's showing up. His drives are there. They've always been there. But the putting finally starting to come around, he's putting himself in positions, but actually being able to commit. This week, 78% for C1X. So, I mean, middle of the pack. But still, the fact that he gives himself so many chances.
So many opportunities.
Someone like him that can get in circle 2 or get within 20 feet in regulation circle 1 on a 1,000-foot hole.
Yes.
When that putting gets into those 80s, you're going to consistently see AB. So awesome to see it. Let's talk about a man that needs no introduction. Ricky Wysocki, tied for 5th, and not without difficulty. Had to drop out of Masters Cup due to pain in his left leg. I believe it was around his knee, having a Lyme disease flare-up.
such a tough thing to deal with. You know, he's already battled it for so many years, and he's changed his diet, and he's started exercising more. Yeah. He really had to morph his entire world because of Lyme. And now, you know, he's honestly what I would imagine in peak condition for his life. And then all of a sudden it just flares back up, and he's got to battle with it again. So my heart to Rick. Glad that you were able to recover enough to get back out here. And even on just one leg, your boy's out here tying for 5.
Yeah. I mean, one-legged Raptor Rick is better than 107 other players.
107 other people.
And I mean, it's crazy. He said that he couldn't throw forehands at all. His left leg was giving out
because he just couldn't put pressure on his left leg.
Yep. And he said he had to change his putt. You know, when you think of a very distinctive weight shift putter,
he does.
He leans back on that left leg and uses his legs for so much power, more than most people. I mean, he's got the spin, but he's got it all. He's multi-world champion.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a Swiss Army knife.
Right. But to have to change it in that moment and be through pain, Ricky Wysocki, there's just I've said it since the beginning of the season. He's healthy. He's back home with Trilogy. He's still a contender every time. I mean, one-legged Rick is still putting up top 5s.
You could take his eyes and he'd probably still win a tournament.
I mean, yeah. That'd be. I don't really know what to say. That
I know.
I don't want to take his eyes, but also I kind of want to know. Although you can take his bag because he did a couple years back play an entire tournament that was not a pro tour. I think it was a silver series with 3 discs in a plastic bag. What? Did you not hear about this years ago? This was I think it was in Rochester. It was something up north. Gosh. It was Delaware. It was something like that. If somebody will let us know in the comments. But yeah, Ricky played a tournament just as a joke. And I think it was only the first round. I don't think he played the whole thing, but it was a legitimate tournament. Had a Walmart plastic bag and had a couple of discs in it and played the tournament, and it was amazing. So nothing's going to stop the Raptor, no freaking doubt. But some other highlights. Let's get into another guy, one of my good buddies, Mr. Chandler Fry.
Yeah,
top 5 finish, and my goodness, known for his putting, known for his consistency. Known for throwing the surge on every single shot he possibly can. 8.72 strokes gained putting for the tournament.
That is first place as far as strokes gained in putting. I think the crazy thing about that is that 6.3 of those 8.72s came in circle 2. Mm-hmm. So your boy was lights out putting from circle 2.
I mean, legitimately the difference of 5th and 20th solely from circle 2, similar to Calvin.
Yeah.
Our game is so dependent on the holes are getting longer, the ceilings are getting lower, these holes are becoming more technical, and there is a style of golf. You played IGC this weekend, played Jackson. Courses like that where, our winner here at OTB, in an interview with him, I asked him, what about this course is difficult? And he said, at Jackson, I can't find myself anywhere but circle 2.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's why it matters. And 6 strokes gained for Chandler Fry, someone who isn't the furthest thrower on tour.
Right.
But finding those strokes where he can in circle 2.
Also, notable stat for your boy Chandler, 0 OB strokes. Absolute goose egg on the OB. No one else in the tournament, MPO, FPO, no one else was able to achieve that goal.
That's... Jeez.
Cheers.
I have no comment.
Unreal.
To no OB. That is insane.
Unreal. With a course like this one, with the fairways so tight, the greens so tight, you're just parking it, man.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, gotta love that.
Definitely. There's no strokes gained stat from no OB, but when you're the only person in the field of 112 players, I believe, you're picking up strokes on every single person.
Yeah.
So absolutely ridiculous. Only 5 names that were less than 3. It's absolutely incredible. So well done, Chandler, to that. Also tied for 5th. Let's wrap this up with a name that was surprising to me, just because he's not touring as much, but also he's a United States champion, huge face for our game. Nate Sexton, quiet, tied for 11, nearly bouncing into the top 10. He's here for the West Coast Tour. This is where he's from, living up here. I believe he lives in Washington. And having Nate Sexton back on the course is just so awesome to see. And also, honorable mention as well, Drew Gibson, another top 10 finish.
Yep.
The putter was on fire. Another one when you were mentioning rollers. His roller game was absurd.
So cool to watch him throw the disc that he throws. Because nobody on planet Earth can do what Drew Gibson does with those discs.
No one.
He throws it so hard that he can get even the most overstable discs to flip up to flat.
Yeah.
Or turn even. It's unbelievable. Gotta love watching Drew play. It's always a privilege.
Yeah, no doubt. And as we wrap up MPO, we've talked about it, from the beginning over on Park with the preseason primer, all the European players coming. We had our first European drought ender winning. Simon Lizotte, you don't think of him being European anymore, but he is the first Pro Tour winning European in a very long time in the first of the year. Lauri Lehtinen came close. Vino Makala has come close.
Vino came close.
Niklas has made some jumps here and there. Albert Tom got the Silver Series, but on an Elite Series level, I don't have the stat in front of me, but Simon Lizotte, our first European winner of the season.
Gotta love it. Yeah. He has put in the work. So, got to say he deserves it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's move into FPO, the better half of disc golf here. Man, there was some battles going on, and there has been it's been close all year long.
Yeah.
At least, we've had our 10-stroke wins from Kristen Tatar, but she's not here right now.
Right.
So, headed back over to Europe to play some of those events over there, spend some time at home. There were some names on this leaderboard that you haven't seen in a very long time, but let's start at the top with Paige Pierce.
Yeah, Paige put together a really solid tournament. Her first round was first place, put her in first after round one. Wasn't her best. She was only 1 under par. Had a tough hole 10, double bogey, went OB 3 times, but her scramble percentage was pretty good. Really, the big separation here was round 2. What Paige did in round 2 was ungodly. She literally had 10 birdies, 0 bogeys. She went OB once, and she scrambled for her par, and
100% C1X.
Yeah, she could not miss inside the circle. And we say, C1X, of course, that already takes out all the tap-ins, but her average putt was 19 feet, which to me and to a lot of people that I play disc golf with.
Yeah, and to the Pro Tour as a whole, if you're within 20 feet.
Those are testers.
Yeah.
Those are not drop-ins. Those are not, I feel good.
Especially
I feel
in the
confident.
wind on the course like this, that you're not blocked. A lot of these greens were technical, were very open.
Yes.
And so
if you miss
testing.
A lot of the time, you may be going out of bounds.
Yeah.
So she was just draining putts inside circle 1. She had a lot of them to hit. Her fairway hits, 86% in that round. Amazing. So that is where the separation began. She had, I believe, a 7-stroke lead going into round 2. The real statistic for the overall tournament for Paige was she was first in strokes gained tee to green. She had 24 strokes gained tee to green. I don't understand how you do that. I don't understand
24 strokes
like that. Gained. That is just unbelievable.
I don't fully understand the strokes gained statistic, but when to my understanding from my small brain is that other players maybe on your card, other players in the same kind of statistics that you are around, and how other players are doing on that hole,
right.
You gained and got onto the green in a lesser amount of time every single time for her.
Yes.
24.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. Her fairway hits, she was 84% total.
Yeah.
So really, we're back to seeing the consistency out of Paige, being able to hit these tight gaps, the low lines, being able to work forehand, being able to work backhand. Just really cool to see her out here just putting in the work. And honestly, that second round is worth watching just to see her torch this course up.
100%. Another player that torched this course up was Natalie Ryan. Just 2 strokes back. So close.
Natalie had a killer round 3.
Sorry, 4 strokes back.
4 strokes back for
the entire tournament.
Okay, yeah. I see. So going into round 2, she was, I believe, 7 strokes back from Paige, and so she knew I've got to start out hot because Paige is coming off a -10 in round 2. So what does Natalie do? Steps up, birdie, 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 right? One after the other, gets a killer circle 2 putt on hole 2, throwing it in from 49 plus feet.
Get the momentum.
Absolutely. And then she kept her front 9 clean, adding another birdie on hole 5, another birdie on hole 9. So she's now 5 under through 9. That, after a bogey, then she gets 5 more birdies in a row. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Heck yeah.
Ties Paige at this point because Paige on hole 15 went OB and took a bogey. So now they're both tied at 11 down. And hole 16, par, still going into it. And I think at this point, hole 17, my guess, I haven't talked to Natalie, but my guess is she's feeling the pressure.
Yeah.
She knows that Paige can get the bird on the last 2 holes. So she's thinking, I either have to match or do better.
Right.
So hole 17, off the tee. It's a low line that you have to hit. Natalie's drive goes a little high, gets slapped down out of the air by a tree. She still actually has a chance to reach the green, and she falls probably 2 feet short of the green, lands in the water, goes OB, ends up taking a double bogey on hole 17. That gives Paige all the cushion she needs. She ends up laying up for par, knowing that she can go into hole 18 with a solid cushion. And Natalie then also goes OB on hole 18, takes another double bogey. So in those 2 holes, she cut 4 strokes off of her round. Really a big bummer. I was pushing for her, nothing against Paige, but love to see the underdog come up. She really, I love seeing the consistency coming out of her in that second round.
And she kind of had a little bit of a lull there. I mean, we're on our 7th stop of the Pro Tour with the Elite Series, but I mean, she definitely still has the ability to get after it. And I mean, we get on this West Coast swing, her distance starts to come into play.
Absolutely.
And I mean, she's a 5-time world champion. This brings her to her 29th Pro Tour Elite Series win, which is crazy.
Isn't there a battle between her and Paul right now?
I don't know exact, but I mean, there's always a battle between her and Paul when it comes to the stats.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's amazing. I mean, she truly is showing dominance and doing it in style and knowing how to close it out. We talked about it with Cody Kirkland. Is that you have 2 great first rounds, but being able to have that next the next ability, the next something within you to be able to close out tournaments. Someone that is no stranger to closing out tournaments, but hasn't seen a spot on the podium in quite some time, is another 5-time world champion, Juliana Korver.
Yeah.
From the early 90s, 2000, she is a 4-digit PDGA number. If you haven't followed disc golf in a very long time, one of just the most Frisbee-oriented, disc golf-oriented people in our sport. Juliana Korver is an incredible just ambassador for disc golf, and to see her on the podium is awesome. It has been a long time. And she's a world champion late 90s into 2001, 2002.
Man.
And to now show up on here, I mean, my goodness.
That's really cool to see. And especially it also gives you an idea of how this sport can be taken over so many years.
Yeah.
Like the longevity of a professional disc golfer is kind of unwritten.
Yeah. I mean, this is we're in 2022. This stat is crazy. I just got excited to see Juliana Korver on the podium here, so I had to look up some stuff. In 1999, the year of her first world championship, she played in 30 events, and she won every single event except one.
That is unreal. I mean,
that was in the 90s, so obviously not as many people playing, but still, the stats speak for themselves.
And that was 23 years ago.
23 years ago, and she is still a Pro Tour level disc golfer.
Absolutely, and we see why. I mean, statistically, she was number 1 in fairway hits, 87% fairway hits. She was number 2 in strokes gained from the tee to green. We were talking about Paige getting 24 strokes gained tee to green. Juliana's right behind her, 22.8 strokes tee to green. She was circle 2 in regulation, 65%. Amazing. And she was tied with Natalie for first place in circle 1 in regulation at 37%.
Yeah.
So I mean,
the game's never leaving.
It's not.
Never leaving.
She's able to probably have kind of the same mentality that Simon had to have, where his game adjusts because he's getting older.
Simon hasn't played since the 90s,
but you see what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, your body's changing, your life is changing, your brain now has to change, your game now has to change. But she's doing it with consistency.
Your knowledge and your longevity speaks for you and makes up for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what makes champions.
100%. 5-time world champion. I mean, it's amazing to see that. Another thing I was super excited to see was Ella Hansen again. Rookie of the year last year. We've talked about her a couple times.
Yeah.
Had a podium finish already this year. Again, tied for 4th. I mean, it's amazing to see. I love it. I mean, we've seen it a couple times, rookie of the year, maybe amateur world champion. You get going, you get a lot of excitement behind you. Ella still, I mean, she's been playing disc golf for less than 5 years.
Wow.
I mean, and she is, again, top 4, so great to see her there. A lot of other women in the mix, too. Alexis Mandujano, we usually see her sister Valerie, I mean, still being in the top 12. They were very tight after round 1, both shot +1. But Alexis really getting the game together with a pretty clean tournament overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Her putting, I think, is where a lot of that started stemming from. Gaining 7.3 strokes in Circle 1X. I mean, let's look. That is number 1 for the tournament, 7.3 in Circle 1X. Not only that, she was hitting her fairways. Her tee to green stat looked good. Her Circle 1 putting was 87%. Having the consistency on the green, I think, is where a lot of the differences are drawn between top 5 and anywhere below that. So cool to see. I love watching them compete together.
Yeah.
Both performing well, getting on lead card, round 2.
Yep.
Super fun to watch. Obviously, there's got to be separation somewhere. So sisters can't do exactly the same, even though
the battle. I mean, there's nothing like that. I mean, in the men's side of it, to have 2 brothers, but I mean, to have 2 sisters battling it out, is just so cool to see. Another name on here that we didn't have for a little bit of time here is Owen Scoggins. I mean, jumping in to a great finish there. And I mean, again, someone else who is known for Circle 1 putting. I mean, she is a machine. I mean, C1X at, 90-something%?
93%. This is why I love Owen Scoggins. You hear me? I've said it, I think, in every single episode. I love Owen Scoggins. She's just so fun to watch. But you're right. It's the putting consistency. She's a machine.
And that's the separator, I think, in FPO we've seen more and more this year.
Yeah.
Yes, these stats to green, or tee to green stats we've been talking about are huge, but those strokes are picked up there. But the thing is that's tee to green. What happens on the putting green is so important.
It's very important.
And we've seen it on coverage. We've seen it. I mean, a player that comes to mind, obviously has gone back to Europe at the time. One of the top players in the world. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. Oh my gosh, my brain. Oh, Henna. I mean, you look at a player that we're so excited to see is Henna, Evelina. I mean, but their putting has what's been holding them back. I mean, missing short tap-ins, missing things. And it's crazy to see the differences of the FPO to the MPO. Top scores are coming in, names we haven't heard of, but the way in which you're picking up the most strokes in the women's field consistently is putting.
I 100% agree. You see, you're talking about the difference between tee to green and putting.
Yeah.
Katrina Allen, prime example. Kat finished at 4 over, tied for 9th.
Yep.
Her tee to green stat, 20.49 strokes gained, tee to green. So
solid.
Just below Paige and Juliana, who we were just raving about. But the big difference is she was losing strokes to the field on the green.
Almost 8 strokes lost.
On the greens, you just can't do it. You can't lose strokes when you get inside Circle 1 and Circle 2.
Yeah.
That there was one specific moment, I think it was round 2 for Kat, where she 4-putted inside Circle 1. That's a brutal one.
And that's something that Kat struggled with in the past, and we have seen her not struggle with. I mean, starting off with
recently.
the ridiculous conditions, her win at the first of the event of the year at Vegas, that's what won her the event.
Yeah.
Was a new sponsor, but her putting was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
So something just a little bit off there, but yeah. I mean, really cool to just kind of see this as we are. I mean, a little over a third of the way through the season now, coming up on there, to kind of see some of these storylines and how some of the things are going. Differences of FPO to MPO. Let us know in the comments below. Shoot us a message on socials. Some things that you're seeing. We'd love to chat about it. Love to get the conversation going there. But yeah, that about wraps it up here for the OTB Open. I'm excited we're on the West Coast. Excited the Elite Series events are back. A little bit of a break, a little bit of a breather. But we are headed into one of the most beautiful places, in my opinion, to play disc golf, which is Portland, Oregon. It's Portland Open, actually in Fairview, Oregon, just outside. But June 2nd through 5th, going to be heading back there. I mean, we've had so many iconic moments in Oregon, World Championships. I mean, the trees, every bit of it we've been seeing on socials. There's so much excitement and so much hype to be back in Oregon on the Pro Tour. We're going to be at Blue Lake, going to be at Glendoveer, 2 very different courses. I'm excited to see it. The West Coast is something I just look forward to a lot, obviously, because Zach and I live on the East Coast. So it's always fun to see things that you don't have. But, I mean, what are you looking forward to in Portland? Who do you think is going to be making some moves?
Gosh, man, this is a tough one. This is a really tough one because we're going to have people who are well-versed in the woods, but also can just flat out bomb. Mm-hmm. You kind of said earlier, I'm going to put Calvin in the running.
Yeah.
I would love to see him clinch another one. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Paul climbing up in the top of those ranks up there as well. We're not going to have Kristen Tatar back yet, are we?
A lot of they're not going to get back, I believe, for another 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then on the...
Well, actually, all the players are going to go meet them for the European Championships.
That's right. That's right. That's cool. Honestly, I think Kat's going to be a bounce back.
Yeah.
And I expect Katrina to be able to rip some up in Oregon. So those are my picks. I'm going to put Calvin up there.
Yeah.
I want to say...
You can't not.
My body wants to say Chris Dickerson, but I'm putting Calvin up there, and I'm putting Kat up there.
I don't believe Chris is playing the West Coast.
Is he taking his break to be
He's taking his break to be there. I don't remember
Tennessee?
how long it was. I don't have it in front of me. It was a social post I glanced at recently, but with his amazing finishes so far, they're in a spot where they're able to, rest it and be able to enjoy himself a little bit. Cool. I'm not sure. I may be totally wrong on that. I'm sorry if I am. I do believe he's coming back in a couple of events, but I'm not sure if he's going to be going there or not.
Well, then my body feels good with Calvin. I'm sticking to it, man. If nothing else, he's going to be in the top 3. So
yeah, I think on the women's side, I would love to see Katrina kind of clean it up, but I think someone I would love that I'm expecting to, she's constantly been climbing, is Missy Gannon. Mm-hmm. She had a great performance at Champions Cup. Got herself in the top 10 again this week, also finding herself in the top 10.
Yep.
And I think it's just a player that, I mean, when you win Throw Pink and you win the Pro Tour Championships last year, I mean, the game is slowly getting there. She had a great round 2, a little bit more difficult, the fairway hits, all that stuff, kind of struggling a little bit in parts of her game you don't expect her to.
Right.
But with the difference of these 2 courses being at the Portland Open, I am excited to see her.
Like that pick.
Yeah. And then I think on the men's side, I mean, you can't not go Calvin, but at the same time, I don't know, man. I really think there's a chance that Simon rides the high, and this is another course that he plays well at. I mean, these courses are not too different from what we just saw at Swenson. They're kind of a blend. I think that's going to see, and your Drew Gibson's. I think Drew, his putting is there. Just a little bit off here and there on maybe some decision making, maybe some just minute things. But I think we're going to see Drew back on the podium.
Nice. All right, man. How much money are we putting on it?
0
money.
0 monies.
If you guys have picks, let us know.
Yeah, for sure.
Would love to see what everyone else is thinking. Give us a who and give us a why.
Definitely. Oh, I like that. The who and the why. Yeah. You can't just be like, I pick Paul. Why? Because he's a multi-time world champion. But it doesn't work like that. You got to get a little more oomph behind it. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for sticking around here for episode 7 of In the Mix. Definitely reach us out on socials at Park Podcast and here at Gatekeeper Media. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a rating over on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Let us know how we're doing. But for us here, my name is Mitch Phillips.
I'm Zach Harrison.
And we'll see you in Portland.
Peace, love, and disc golf, y'all.